start. Barakallahu feek. Distribute comments.
To keep the rest.
Milani. الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. Now, so we are now at class 7. Very important what we're getting into. I wanted to bring attention to a very important point. Whoever wasn't here for the beginning and for the introduction, then they missed out on some very important points. And this goes to, I believe it was when we began the explanation to Husn al-Muslim. I asked the question, how do you read a book? And one of the points that was mentioned of how to read the book is to read the preface or the introduction. The importance of reading the introduction of the author or the preface of the author is because in it, the author is going to explain what he or she intended when writing the book. So if a person skips that, they may get to some things that the author mentioned and say, well, what? That doesn't make sense. So why is he mentioning that? What does that have to do with anything? And come to find out, had they read the introduction, the author would have mentioned, I'm going to mention some things and why he's going to mention it. A clear example is the tafsir of Abu Fida ibn Kathir. In a tafsir, people try to make tanaqqus. They try to discredit his tafsir. And they try to say he mentions a lot of narrations from Ahlul Kitab, right? He mentions a lot of narrations of the Jews and the Christians. Had they read his introduction, he mentioned that he was going to mention that. And he mentioned why he was going to mention that, right? So the people who didn't read his introduction and why he explained he did that, they assume it was by mistake that he assumed those narrations were authentic and he was mentioning them as a proof or as tafsir for the ayah. But he was mentioning everything that was mentioning concerning it, and then he comes and brings the hadith that is authentic with the chain or not authentic with the chain. This may be over some of you brothers' heads and other listeners. However, inshallah, down the line, it may be a benefit. What's important to understand is some people may read the books of the scholars of the past, namely books of tafsir and hadith, and they'll bring narrations. And at the end of the narration, they won't say that it's authentic, that it's weak, or anything. So people assume that the scholars of the past didn't grade the hadith. But when they mention the hadith, the scholars of the past, they mention the chain. By mentioning the chain, they graded it. Because the people in the chain are the ones who influence the grading of the hadith. So because these individuals who are mentioned in the chain is either going to be sahih, if they're people of sihha, of authenticity, or if they're people of da'f, of weakness, then the presence of these individuals in the chain is what make the hadith da'if or sahih. So if you see the chain, that's the grading of the hadith right there. Right? But as time passed and the diligence of the seriousness of the students became less, so their level of comprehending became less. So now it required the scholars to do more in order for the people to understand. Before, all they had to do was say, so and 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 so said that. The people knew those names and the reliability or the lack thereof of the individual, and they formed their opinion based on those names that were mentioned. And knowledge is something that is great. And the proof that knowledge is something that's great is that Allah Ta'ala, from his names, is Al-Alim, the all-knowing. And he attributed having knowledge to himself. So it has to be something. And another proof that knowledge is great is that people love that knowledge be attributed to them. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Even if they're not carriers of knowledge, people love what? That knowledge be attributed to them. That's another proof of the greatness of knowledge. Nobody would, rarely, it takes humility in reality for someone to negate knowledge from themselves, right? That's why the scholars say saying I don't know is half of knowledge. So this knowledge was disseminated by the scholars of the past. And it was disseminated in a manner that it was easier. But as time goes on, because of the lack of the iqbal of the people going out to seek the knowledge, it keeps getting broken down, so it becomes more lengthy, and broken down, it becomes more lengthy, and broken down, it becomes more lengthy. Whereas, for instance, the sciences of the Arabic language are now broken down into 12 sciences, where they used to be studied all together. Lugha, language. And it was all one science, it would all be in there together. But people, because time passing, I'll give you an example to show the weakness and the transition of the weakness with using the Arabic language. Once upon a time, beginning students used to study a text called Alfiyyat Ibn Mu'tin, right? This is the first scholar who wrote a 1,000-line poem explaining the rules of the Arabic language. After him came Ibn Malik, who used to teach the Alfiyyah of Ibn Mu'tin to his students. And then he himself wrote in Alfiyyah, a 1,000-line poem teaching in Nahu, basing the majority of the information in his book off what Ibn Mu'tin, of course, off his studies, and off what he learned from Ibn Mu'tin. Right? The year that Ibn Malik died, 1,000 lines. Right? This was for beginners. The year that Ibn Malik died, which is approximately 723, Ibn Ajarum was born. The one who wrote Al-Ajurumi. He was born the year Ibn Malik died. And then he wrote Al-Ajurumi. When Muhammad Ibn Ubbah al-Shanqiti turned it into a poem, It's about 100 lines. And that became the New Beginners book. Beginners were studying 1,000 lines. Turned out study 100, 10%. 10%. The scholars of Hadith, by way of another example, they used to teach their own collection to their students. Bukhari had circles of knowledge. Muslim had circles of knowledge. Abu Dawood and Sajistani, and some of them were students of the others. Like Muslim was a student of Bukhari and so forth and so on. So when they began teaching, they were teaching their collection. So a beginner student, depending on his region, he would study with one of those scholars, and this was beginner student, was studying Sahih Bukhari. Before Bukhari, Imam Malik, the beginner student studying with Imam Malik, was studying Al-Muwatta, right? 1,000 hadith. So this was for a beginner student. And we kept decreasing and decreasing until now. Some of the scholars say the first book of hadith a student should learn is what? 40 hadith. Right. Bukhari, some scholars, depending on how you count, how they count the hadith, say the Bukhari has what? 7,500 hadith. 7,500 hadith. Right? But if you remove the Mukarrar, 2,500 of the repetition. The same hadith in Bukhari, like Innamal A'malu bin-Niyat, is mentioned 7 different times. So it's one hadith. But if you count it based on the point he brought out of it, it's counted as a different hadith every time. Also, the scholars have different ways of counting the hadith when it's in a collection. Some count the hadith that once there's, even if the word is the same, if the narrator is different, then it's a different hadith. Others say that if even if the narrator is the same, if the wording changes even slightly, it's a different hadith. Others say that that's the same hadith, even if the narrator is changed, and even if the wording is changed slightly, the wording needs to be changed, noticeably, in order to call it a different hadith. And this is why you'll have, it's not a contradiction. This way you have some scholars say, oh, it's this many hadith in that book, and it's this many hadith in that book, because the way they look at a hadith that has the same wording but a different narrator. Or the same narrator, almost the same hadith, but the wording is switched around a little bit like that. So that's a way of counting hadith. So look at how we decrease. Us, Al-Ajam, we have to level up. We have been disserviced to a service. Muslims people began to accept Islam from all over the world. So it means you have people who were Muslims speaking different languages. And they knew the need of the Muslims to learn their religion. So they started a monstrosity, an atrocity that they wanted good with, that has injured the ummah. Some people may say, no, but it has injured the level of carrying knowledge of the ummah. That monstrosity and atrocity is called translation. Because the non-Arab, before translation, they were assiduous and diligent. You didn't have non-Arab who went to study with imams and came back as translators. That's unheard of. They went to study and they came back scholars. That was it. That was it. There was no in between. They went to study, they left ignorant, they came back scholars. And this is how every country and every region has scholars. They had scholars of Misr, scholars of Iraq. And in Iraq, they were split up. The scholars of Kufa, the scholars of Basra, and scholars of Baghdad, scholars all over. Then the scholars of Maghrib al-Aqsa, of Andalus, in that area. You had the scholars over there. In Africa, you had the scholars over there. Everywhere, you had scholars everywhere because those who wanted to go study, they came back carrying knowledge. But once that pacifier came, it's good, it's benefit. But now look at the level of the ignorance of the ummah. It's an ayah in Surah Al-Ra'd. And Allah Ta'ala said, don't they see that we are decreasing the land? Allah said, do they not see that we're causing the land to decrease from around them, from its edges? That the earth is shrinking, right? Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu gave the tafsir to this ayah. He said this ayah is not talking about the shrinking of the actual land. He said, because if this ayah was talking about the shrinking of the actual land, you wouldn't find a hole today big enough to use the bathroom. He said this ayah is talking about the death of the scholars. Because when scholars die in a land, it's as if the earth has shrunk. Because now that's somewhere you can no longer go. Look at Iraq. Khatib al-Baghdadi, Ibn al-Salah, Ahmed ibn Hanbal, Shafi'i. The list goes on. Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Sufyan al-Thawri, Hamad ibn Zayd, Hamad ibn Salama. Look at Iraq, what it used to be of ilm. Now what is Iraq today? Maghrib al-Aqsa, Khali, Khalil, I mean, the list goes on. No different sciences. Look at what we have Iraq, Misr, even Misr. Suyuti, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, just to name two. Those two alone. Syria, Ibn al-Qayyim, Imam al-Nawawi. Your police are places you can't even go anymore. So Anas radiallahu anhu said what? Do they not see that we're taking the earth and we're shrinking it from its edges? It doesn't stop. Used to be able to go anywhere. What do you think? Even the Shafi and others would say, I said with 1,200 scholars. 1,200 scholars. So as non-Arab, we have to level up. Even Sister Anisa, one of the highest SNE, the highest chains of narration of the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, the Ijazah in the carrier of one of the highest chains is a sister. From those times. Imam Malik, rahimahullah ta'ala, his daughter, used to teach his book Al-Muwatta from behind the hijab. She used to teach men from behind the hijab. And if they would narrate from their memory and made a mistake, she would not. Meaning you made a mistake. And they would say, no, the mistake is with you. She would say, you made a mistake. And they would say, no, the mistake is with you. They would go look at that manuscript and come back and apologize. SubhanAllah.
Gotta be to the T, huh? You can't go out and tell it to the people like that.
So these were the carriers of knowledge, male and female, all over. Ibn Taymiyyah. Because of the virtues in the knowledge of his grandmother, the family took the name after his grandmother instead of his grandfather. That's how famous she was for her knowledge. Taymiyyah is Ibn Taymiyyah's grandmother. And he even benefited in the science of hadith from one of his aunts, Zainab bint Makki. He learned the science of hadith from his aunt. So people carry knowledge, but it's for the non-Arab. Bukhari was a non-Arab. And Tirmidhi, he was from the Arab, but this before the new, I guess today you would call him a Russian, but it was before Russian. These are new maps now. You know, he was from Bukhara, it's up there by Russia. Samarkand, you know, Abu Dawood, as-Sajistani, the one who wrote Sunan Abi Dawood, non-Arab. At-Tirmidhi, non-Arab. Ibn Ajurrum, the one that wrote Ajurrumi, non-Arab. One of the greatest linguists, Arabic linguists that ever lived, Sibawayh, non-Arab, Persian. Translation, it's a handicap. It's a handicap. As long as you have, we talked about that yesterday, as long as you have a substitute, you'll never go to the origin. A substitute. How many people drink water when there's juice in the house? Soda and juice in the house. And then you got the water sitting there. Sodas and juice. What we'll go to first. Most people, they will go to the soda and the juice. Then they'll drink water when the soda and the juice runs out. They're substitutes. So it's just a little glimpse into our nature. You want to take the easy route, but the easy route is not always good, because at the end, when you take the easy route, you end up with less. You end up with less. Those who want more, we talked about the ayah before, that Allah Ta'ala never told the Prophet to seek an increase in anything but knowledge. And say, oh my Lord, increase me in knowledge. So, and as also mentioned before, age is, if people say it when it comes to relationships, age is nothing but a number. When it comes to seeking age is nothing but a number. Age is nothing but a number. Some scholars, based on tradition and culture, they say, yeah, it's best for somebody to start young, and they use the parable, that learning at a young age is like carving into a stone with sticks and like that. But the advantage of learning in an older age is that the person gets to memorize while comprehending at the same time. Whereas the youth, they memorize and they don't comprehend. It's explained to them later on. So when someone memorizes at an older age, they get to memorize and they get to what? Comprehend at the same time. So we have to level up. We have to remove the stigma that when you say scholar, oh, that means, you know, someone was not non-Arab. Only Arab can be scholars. Says who? Since when? Since when? The most extensive Arabic dictionary, Lisanul Arab, the tongue of the Arab, is written by who? Ibn Mandur al-Ifriqi. Ibn Mandur from Africa. Non-Arab. Biggest Arabic dictionary, Lisan al-Arab, is written by non-Arab. Now, so let's get this language and use it as a tool to learn the religion and be closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is a step. So I wanted to that because people may say to you, you guys are taking that and you're not learning the connection. And remember, in the beginning, we said what? No, not that part. We said we want to at least reach the level of being a functional illiterate. And an illiterate doesn't read or write, but speaks perfect, depending on what he listened to develop his language. If an illiterate person listens to people who speak properly, he's going to speak properly without reading or writing, with diction. Right? His vocabulary is going to be vast because that's what he listens to. If an illiterate listens to people who are almost illiterate and they speak slang and they speak, improperly, then that's how he's going to speak. So it depends on what? The input. And that's important for ourselves, for our families, and our children. If you don't control the input, you can't control the outcome. If you don't control the input, you can't control the outcome. Right? And the dangerous part is that when you control the input and you allow it to be what? Yep. Allow it to be something that actually is harmful or something that's not beneficial. So this is that scale. This scale also has another ending, like we see it had sometimes 10 on full time. Also, sometimes is with a in a mean, like for some, for instance, we can say it has two mustards. Remember, we're just taking this as a note for following the pattern. So we can say Sama, Yasumu, Salmon, and we can say Siyam. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام صوم. So yeah, right? So we can also say, I'll remove this. We can say soul, and we can say so yeah. Soul, Siam. They're both roots. And I'll give you another example of that. Amen. So what are we going to say, Mubarak? Yeah. Cool. Yeah, cool. Yep. Yeah. Command? Cool. Yep. The root? Yeah. Yeah. That's why I showed you that about saying now. Qama yaqumu qum qiyam. So when you see qiyam, so what do you think qama means? Remember it's the past.
Day.
Huh?
But today, this day.
You said it.
The stand.
Yep.
Stand.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He stood. He's standing. Stand. To stand. this lama يلوم. Yep. We're going back to the other one.
Okay.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. MashaAllah. Who? No. Patterns, أخوات. لا ما يلوم لوم. لوم. لا ما means he. He blamed. He's blaming. Blame. To blame. Allah said, حتى إذا قضي الأمر, until the point when the affair is settled, قال الشيطان إن الله وعدهم وعد الحق ووعدتكم فأخلفتكم. He said, the shaitan will say, indeed Allah promised you all the promise of truth, and I promised you, but I broke my promise. فلا تلوموني, so don't blame me. وَلُومُوا أنفسكم, but blame yourselves. لو ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة. It's صيغة المبالغة. سورة القيامة. I'm gonna say what? The first one was in Surah Ibrahim. In Surah Al-Qiyamah, Allah Ta'ala said, لا أقسم بيوم القيامة. I swear by the day of Qiyamah. ولا أقسم بالنفس اللوامة. And I swear by the soul that blames itself, the self-reproaching soul. Now, this is a soul that constantly takes accountability for what it does wrong. Nafs al-lawwama. This is in the middle. You have an-nafs al-amaratu bis-su, like I mentioned in Surah Yusuf, the soul that orders you with evil. Then you have nafs al-lawwama going upward. Nafs al-lawwama, the soul that acknowledges the wrong that it does and blames itself. And then you have nafs al-mutma'innah. In Surah Al-Fajr, this is the soul that's content. That for fil ghalib, most of the time, the soul is an obedience and staying away from evil. This is a content soul. Now, so there's the three souls. Maratun bisu, the soul that orders you with evil. The wama, that blames itself for the wrongness that it does, and mutama'inna, that is content.
So these three souls, like, three souls.
Meaning the individual is going to be in one of those states. Either he's going to be a person that he is prone to evil, very difficult for him to do good, or he is in between. He does good and he does evil, but when he does evil, he feels regret, he feels guilt, and he blames himself. What's wrong with you? You got to get it together. Then you got nafs al-mutma'inna, the person that for the majority of the time, he has control of himself. He's doing that which Allah Ta'ala has ordered and staying away from Allah Ta'ala's prayer. Now, this is the way a person gets content. The person is wondering why they're not content. You have to look at the sins they commit. Because sins bothers the soul. The person is irritated. And if the person is not, doesn't have the low, the self-blame within himself, acknowledgement. If a person has a difficulty with acknowledgement, then the person will look out of himself for his condition of being incontent. When in reality, the issue is inside. Like the hadith of Abi Dharr al-Ghifari, the end of it in which the Prophet ﷺ said what? فَمَنْ وَجَدَ الْخَيْرَ فَيَحْمِدَ اللَّهِ. So whoever finds good, then let him praise Allah. وَمَنْ وَجَدَ غَيْرَ ذَلِكَ فَلَا يَلُومَنَّ. This is with a, you call it, not intensity, emphasis. فَلَا يَلُومَنَّ إِلَّا نَفْسَهُ. And whoever finds other than good, he should not blame anyone else. Now, okay, so that everybody has those. So as we keep taking words from the pattern, it's getting simpler, right?
I don't know. Except when you throw it.
At the end. So don't be surprised when you see it. But this shows you that when you see words that comes at the end, like yam, siyam, and like you say, well, that's from Mexico, right? You can say, oh, that's their pattern. So this is the exception in that pattern, or not the exception, the other, because sometimes both of them come with a pattern. Like with siyam, you can say som or siyam, meaning to fast. And you'll see that a lot of different books of fiqh like that. You see some scholars using siyam. You say, okay, and the siyam is obligatory. And you see something saying som is obligatory, right? And both of them come in text. Now,
Usually at the end of the ayah, they usually have a similar sound. Like the ends of the ya and the you saw it, it can change like the pattern changes. Is that something similar?
no. These are specifically when you deal with the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, mostly like Rahim, Latif, Khabir, and like that. This is one of the intense forms of those words or those names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Like for example, also the mass. They all seem to end the same.
It's the same word. Mass. Yeah. It's mass. That's why. It's the same word. Nah. But we'll get into that because you have plurals. We're going to get into plurals. So plurals is a pattern. It's going to be simple. Once you learn the pattern of the plurals, it's like, oh, so that's what that is every time. It only can be two ways. It's either going to be plural, you have the perfect masculine plural. It's one end with a wow and a no every time, or yeah, and it cannot end any other way except when it's going to be attributed to another word, then the noon can be removed and it just is a yeah or a wow. It's not skipped, it's called half the noon. It's dropped. It's dropped for, it's called idafa, for connection. For connection. For instance, in Surah Al-Baqarah, when Allah begins first talking about Hajj, right? And the ayat Allah Ta'ala said, ذَلِكَ لِمَنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ أَهْلُهُ حَاضِرِي مَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. So حاضر, that it means they're not present at the masjid. So present at the masjid goes together. It's like a compound word. You know, they bring word together as a compound word. So because of that, in the Arabic language, is something called what? Takhfif, the thuq. That it makes it light. Takhfif meaning light, to make something lighter because of its heaviness. So in the Arabic language, is that when the noon comes, it has to go into the other word at the end. It wouldn't have to say ذلك لمن لم يكن أهله حاضرين المسجد الحرام. So it's long, it's elongated. So the noon was dropped. ذلك لمن لم يكن أهله حاضرين المسجد الحرام instead of حاضرين المسجد الحرام. حاضرين المسجد الحرام. But it's really حاضرين, right? But حاضرين, but the noon was removed in order to make it easy, the transition to the next word easier. We'll get into that. But other than that, when we get to the plurals, you're going to see it's really simple. You got the perfect feminine plural. The perfect feminine plural is always going to end with alif, ta. That's it. Alif, ta. Muslimatun, mu'minatun, qanitatun, ta'ibatun, sa'ihatun, tayyibatun, wa abakar. That's perfect. Add this all female, a group of females. In. This would be female, right? Or the whole group, because the masculine gender, of course, can encompass both genders. Feminine gender only can include women. If you put one male, even if it's a baby, amongst a group of females, even if it's a male child, an infant, you have to now convert to using the masculine. You have to now convert to using the masculine. Just put one male child. And this shows the absence of that gender equality. There's no gender equality in this. Allah Ta'ala said clear, Surah Ali Imran, وَلَيْسَ الذَّكَرُ كَالْأُنثَى. The male is not like the female. Is when the kuffar, because they're the ones who came with this idea, when they talk about gender equality, when people talk about equality, they think that not being equal means that someone is less valuable, has less value. This is the problem with the word equality when it's used. It means one is valuable and one is not valuable. That's not the case. But equality? Is equality even justice? I'll ask the question before we go on. Is equality justice? Say no. No. Right. Anyone else? Equality, is it justice? Yeah. Is it just to treat everybody equal? Is it fair? Why not? What makes it unfair?
Like, if they're trying to make the LGBTQ just, right?
Yeah.
It means we have to be oppressed, because we have to call them by what they want to call, believe in what they believe. Right? That oppresses us because that goes against what we believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not just.
Not just. It's not just. That's an example. Any other examples where equality is not just?
Workload. Say we work.
Yeah.
One or two people doing all the work,
Mhm.
and then some people sitting there doing nothing,
Mhm.
but then they want equal pay.
Mhm.
And you didn't work for us, so why should you get
Mhm.
the pay for you didn't even contribute to?
Exactly. I'll tell you something where they used this so-called equality in order to cause role reversal, to destroy the family, the family. Okay. Based on equality, a man goes out and works. We want to be like very precise about equality. So a man goes out and works. What does he do as a job? He's a construction worker, right? He's not an engineer, electrician, plumber, anything. He's a laborer. He's carrying bags of cement. He's married now. His wife is his equal. She needs to be working with him. She needs to be on that construction site carrying the bags of cement with him because we're equal. The bills come. She needs to be paying those bills with him because we're equal. Okay, now what happens when she gets pregnant? She has to carry that baby. So now we have to do something to make him get pregnant too because they have to be equal. So now he needs to carry the baby too because it's equality, but it's impossible. It's impossible to be equal, but it's possible to be just. And to be just, it means to give everyone what they deserve according to their makeup.
Yeah.
According to their makeup. And this justice even goes with children. If someone has more than one child, you have to be just between your children. Not equal, just. You got a newborn and you got a high school. The newborn needs diapers. What you gonna do for the high school? You gonna get them diapers? Got your brother's diapers. I didn't want you to get upset. Here you go. Or I got you some Depends. Why? Because got you the big diapers. I mean, what's going on? Yeah. that's justice. I mean, that's equality. But justice is that no. When I buy what a newborn needs, nobody else gets anything. You guys have clothes. This is a newborn. It's gonna get clothes. It's gonna get all kinds of things in order to welcome the newborn. You guys been here. You don't get anything, right? Because that's what and like that. So this is what important to understand between equality and justice. So Islam is just, and the status of our men and women is great in Islam, but are they equal? Not equal. They're not equal. If that's the case, okay, rather than the women staying home with the children, we would just lock the door on the children, and when the ward came out, the men and women have to go out. So everybody has to go out and embrace the dying. And then the children are left with who? But justice is that the women stay left, the men go out, they have to risk their lives, but it's in order to protect everybody else. And like this is reality. Yeah, somebody breaks in the back door, boom, and they hear that. We're equal. Man tells his wife, go see what that's about.
Yeah.
Are you not gonna? No, we're equal, baby. Right? That's equality. That's equality. Justice is that the stronger gender goes and defends the weaker gender. Right. Like that. That's how it goes. Now, so that's justice. Now, thinking of some more ways to get. Oh no, now we're gonna go back to the I'll say that.
Go back. Yesterday I was rolling all the way over here, so I'm trying to write in the middle of the board today.
Oh, yes, sir.
Same word. Yeah.
I'm glad I got you. No. Go back and look like.
Feel like something else. Seven, nine, anyway. Yeah.
How they know what to say? What sound to make?
Yeah. And that's how it goes. Like I told you about the salam that day. The more you memorize, now if somebody says the man moved closer, that you know what I heard. You know it. It's not a guessing game. And this is going to come in the future, inshallah, if you kids with or without me. If you continue, these are going to come again. Al-Dhama'ir al-Muqtasila.
That's why I knew what it was.
So we're going to finish.
Disconnect the person from.
Yeah.
The 12 of them.
Let's put that up there, yeah. This.
Right to that.
Said yesterday. This is funny. It says nuisance likely. Yeah. Well, you used to say scam likely, right? That's the first time I saw that one. It's like a nuisance. Wow.
What type of people gonna call?
Lead. Move. On. Up.
Second person.
Yep. I'm gonna finish now. للمخاطب للمخاطبة. So yesterday we took والمخاطب what? Who remembers? أنت وأنت. No مخاطب. Oh, see. No مخاطب.
Second person.
Second person. أنت وأنت.
Sin of the master and sin of the foot.
And Tuma. And Tuma. That means you too. Or the two of you. And Tuma. The two of you. That's the chip in the board. That not has nothing to do with has nothing to do with the lesson. And Tuma. And Tuma. The two of you. This is not gender restricted. Two males, two females, a male and a female. It's not age restricted. Young, old, and Tuma. The two.
But what's on top of that aleph?
It's a Hamza and a Fatha. Yeah.
That's what, the one at the very top?
It's the Fatha. Yeah. The one under this up. Hamza.
Yeah, I know.
Hamza. Hamza's with Ha. It's not the name. The name of the person is Hamza. The Ha.
Hamza.
Yeah. Hamza is a person. Hamza is a. We'll talk about it. Hamza is special. It's not really a letter, nor is it a vowel.
This is what I'm throwing off with.
What's that?
Hamza. Facts. Oh, the little.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. You'll be able to speak and understand without even knowing what it is. But remember, we're trying to get to the level of a functional illiterate who doesn't know any of that stuff. Yeah. Functional illiterate doesn't know any of that. You talk about Hamza and that connects like, I don't know. This I heard it being said this way, and I say it the way I heard it being said. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Now, and then after that, we'll begin studying, okay, why the Hamza is. We'll do a whole, maybe we'll take a week on Hamza. Because Hamza is very intricate. So we'll take a week on Hamza when we get to that. Now, the two of you and Tuma. Now, next. And two. Yep, all of them. Or you all. However you want to say it. And two. Now, Antum is masculine. Or mixed. So it's either a group of males or a mixed group. And two. Excuse me. I just couldn't see it. Next one.
Both. That's your mess with me.
And tunna. And tunna. With a shadda. And tunna. You all feminine. So now we have أنا ونحن للمتكلم أو متكلمة. أنا ونحن is for the male or female speaker. أنا ونحن. Right? We don't have that. أنا ونحن. Then we have للمخاطب أو مخاطبة for the male or female second person. أنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن. Right? So the way we're going to memorize it, we're going to say, if we say, oh man, this is wrong. No, it's moon. It's a noon, not a tap. And moon. Now, المون أصل. Okay, now we're back again. المون فصلة. المنفصلة. نعم المنفصلة. نعم الضمائر المنفصلة. منفصل means to be separate. Okay, so we have now أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتن وأنتم وأنتن. أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن. أنا let me write it on the board. Yeah. أنا نحن
So the lines are.
Okay, here we go. أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن 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 أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن. Now, these are the disconnected personal pronouns for the second person. These are. And these are the disconnected personal pronouns for the first person. So you, singular masculine, you, singular feminine, you too, regardless of gender. You all masculine or mixed. You all feminine. Yes, sure.
Would you say Antum Kul? Antum Kul
You want to order the group
to eat.
to eat. You're going to add the wow in Arabic called wow al-jama'ah. The wow for the group is added at the end. So when you say kulu, nah, like Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah said what? Ya ayyuhan nasu kulu mimma fil ardi. Eat from that which is on the earth.
That's the order, right?
It's an order. Kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiban. Eat from that which is on the earth halalan tayyiban. So the verb, when we get to the verb, we're going to show how that goes. Yeah. Yeah. If it was two people, you say kula. And it's called alif al-ithnain, the alif of two. Say kula. Both of you eat. Now, and if it was females, you would say kunna. That noon is called noon in this one. The noon of the women. Noon in this one. The noon of the women. So you say kunna. Kunna. You know, all of you women eat.
One more time.
Yes, sir. أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما
وأنتما
وأنتم
وأنتم
وأنتن.
وأنتن
بيجي سمك للحق.
أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتنا
وأنتن. شد.
وأنتن.
شد.
أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتما وأنتن.
يا شد.
أنا والنحن أنا والنحن
نحن
أنا والنحن
نحن
أنا والنحن ثم وأنت وأنت ثم
وأنتما
وأنتما
وأنتما ألف أنتما
وأنتما و- وأنتم
يب
وأنتم
أنتن.
وأنتن
نعم. ثم ألف. نعم.
أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن.
شد. أنتن.
أنتن.
أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنت
Look, لا تفخم. Don't say, oh, like that. It's أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت. Don't say أنا أنا.
أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتنا
وأنتن.
وأنتنا.
نعم. ما شاء الله ما شاء الله. أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما
وأنتما
وأنتم
وأنتم
وأنتن.
وأنتن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما
وأنتما
وأنتم
وأنتم
وأنتن.
وأنتن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما
وأنتما
وأنتم
وأنتم
وأنتن.
وأنتن
نعم. Next. Third person للغائب. للغائب. It is a male. وللغائبة. Right? للغائبة. That means third person, someone that's not there, someone's being spoken about. You also can say that someone is absent using these words. أين إبراهيم هو غائب. He's not here, he's absent, he's not seen. هو غائب. Surah Al-A'raf. Allah Ta'ala said, وَمَا كُنَّا غَائِبِينَ. We were not absent. We were not absent. sorry.
That bad on the bottom of that. That's the God in bed.
Uh-huh.
That's on the show.
Which one?
On the real God in bed.
Uh-huh. Ibra. Nah, Fetha. Who that do it?
Racing.
No, the black man. It's in my hand. I'm the red thing, right? All right, Ibra. Okay. That's wrong. That's it. I'm gonna put, she,
Thank you.
all right. Yeah. He, him. Goes to. Oh. They. Them. Masculine. Or mixed. Okay. Them. Feminine.
Okay. So here for.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm not sure. You be the and it's got people that say, I used to write it down like that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, is that?
Okay, we didn't get to that because that's a connected form.
Oh,
Yeah. This is disconnected.
I'm seeing the writing down one. Boom.
Uh-huh.
That's how I try to.
MashaAllah. Yeah. It's gonna come out of this one. But this is connected. You see how it is here? It's a fatha. So when it's connected, it's elongated and takes an edit. Right? In order to represent that fatha. We know the dual, which we notice with second person and third person, the dual what? It's not gender restricted. It's not gender, it's used for both genders. Mixed or not. Huma. Oh, I'm sorry. Hua. Hua.
Or,
Hua. Hiya. Hua. Hiya.
okay, and what do they call Eve?
No, that's with the hat. That's Hawa.
Oh, wow.
Hawa. Now, Hua. Hiya. Huma. Hum. Hun. Hun. Hua. Hiya.
Dia,
Huma.
Uma,
Hum. Hun. Hua.
Rua,
Hiya.
Dia,
Huma.
Uma,
Hum. Hun.
Una,
Hua.
Rua,
Hiya.
Dia,
Huma.
Uma,
Hum. Hun.
Una,
Hua.
Rua,
Hiya.
Dia,
Huma.
Uma,
Hum. Hun.
Una,
Hua.
Rua,
Hiya.
Dia,
Huma. هن هو هي هما هم 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 هن. Who's right?
Yeah. Yeah. Huna. Hunna.
Who? Nah, hun. Again? Who? Look, say it again. Here. Huma. Hunna.
هو هي هما هم
No shit. When you say humma means like extreme fever. Humma and the umma. Nah, yeah, right?
هما
So, humma.
هما
Yeah.
هما هن
Nah. So this is what her. Nah. Humma. Again? It's all her. Hunna. Again. Huwa. Hiya. Huma. Hum. Hunna. 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 Again.
Huwa. Hiya.
No, huwa.
Huwa. Hiya. Huma. Hum. Hunna.
Huwa. Hunna.
هو هي هما هم هن
Just said it. I know. Huwa.
هي
Huh? Huwa. Hiya. Huma. Hum. Hunna. Huwa. Hiya. Huma. Hum. Hunna. Huwa. Hiya. Huma.
هما
هم هن
هن
هو
هو
هي
هي
هما
هما
هم
هم
هن
هن
هو
هو
هي
هي
هما
هما
هم
هم
هن
هن
هو
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 هي
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 هما
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 هم
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 هن
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 هو
هو
هي
هي
هما
هما
هم
هم
هن
هن
هو
هو
هي
هي
هما
هما
هم
هم
هن
هن
نعم بالحق بالحق
هو
مم.
هي هما هم هن
شيء
هو
مم.
هي هما هم
هو هي هما هن هن
مم. مم.
هو هي هما هم هن
هو هي هم
Yeah,
هم
forget with the hat.
هم
Who? Who? نعم هما
هما
أها.
هم
نعم نعم. So go back and listen to the recording. This is going to be very, very important. Take a picture if you want.
When you speak, when you put it all together, like, you know, like speaking in here, you speak a little bit faster. So you might just say something. Hua, hia, huma, hum.
You'll use them when I mean it's the same way you're going to use he, she, them, they. It's going to come in place like that. Yeah. Say, هل رأيت مسافر عبد الحق? Did you see مسافر عبد الحق؟ أنا رأيتهما في الدكان. أنا رأيتهما هما. أنا رأيتهما في الدكان. I saw them too. Those two in the store. Right? هل رأيت النساء؟ أنا رأيت. No, that's not what's connected. That's not. That's hat. It was say رأيتها. I saw her. Right? Like that. But that's not it. But you can say رأيت النساء. Here the doves. Here doves. She's in the class. She's in the class. Right? Like that. نعم. رأيت الركعان. هو في الحمام. He's in the bathroom. هو في الحمام. He's in the bathroom.
Say Haman.
Huh?
Haman.
حمام.
Yeah, for bathroom, right?
For bathroom. Yeah.
Hammam,
Haman. Like Haman. Just for, like, saying, like, lamb or something.
lamb.
Or some type of.
اللام is a خروف. خروف is lamb. والضأن. ضأن. Now, ضأن or خروف. لحم is meat. لحم is meat. خروف. خروف is lamb and or ضأن. ضأن is a lamb or a خروف and المعز. معز is a goat. Bakar, of course, is a cow, and a jamal or an ibn is a camel.
so what's the proper name for the restaurant?
Hammam,
Hammam, hammam.
hammam, ha, meme with a shadda, double meme, hammam. Because if you remove the, if you say hammam without a shadda, that means a dove. It's a bird. Hammam, right? Is a dove.
Where's the bathroom? Where's the dove?
Yeah.
They be like, oh, you like birds? Like, no, I gotta go. Come on, we're gonna go. It's a park. It's a park right here. There's plenty of birds. It might be doves, ducks, everything. Hammam. Another word for the hammam is mirhal. 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 That's another word for it. Or the most famous in the books of hadith is khala. Khala. Khala means open space because they had houses. They didn't have places that you went to. Right. And some say that hammam is not really the name you should use for the place where you use the bathroom, because hammam from istihmam, it means to wash. It's to wash yourself, right? And mirhal also, it means more of a place to wash yourself, because the word mirhal, it means the place where a hold, and a hold is a sink or a tub. So it's the place where the hold is. Mirhal, the place of the sink or the tub for cleaning, right? And hammam, the place for washing. Khala, the open place where the person goes, right, to use the outhouse. That's why when you read like the etiquettes of using the restroom in hadith, when we look at the restrooms we have today, we might get confused, because it says what? Make sure you're away from the eyes of the people. Do not raise your garment until you have lowered your body, right? So that's because it was out in the public place. Don't face the qibla or turn your back to the qibla like that. Right. So all of that because they were going outside. Yeah, outside. And that goes over to today. Also, don't pass waste, whether it be urine or defecation, don't pass it in a hole or in a shady place. Right. In a hole, because snakes, scorpions, jinn, you may go to the bathroom, that thing comes out to attack you. Right? Or at the very least, you've caused them harm because this is their dwelling. So now you use that hole, and this is where a creation of Allah dwells in. So you've harmed them. Or a jinn may live in there. And if you harm the jinn, they can harm you back. Right? Also, not in a shady place. Why? Because if you use the restroom in a place where people take shade, then when it dries, it's going to leave repugnant odor, and then people come and sit there and say, man, somebody use that. So the whole point is the Muslim should not be harmful. Should avoid harm as much as possible. So even the way we use the bathroom in a public setting, it should be in a way where after we're done, nobody's harmed by what we did. Nobody's harmed by what we did. Nah, this is our religion. This is our religion. You know, and this is what the Sahabi responded to the Jew that wanted to make mockery. He said, your prophet tells you people how to do everything, even how to use the bathroom. And he said, yes, the Prophet told us, and then he ran down the whole how you do it. And when you go in, that you step in with your left foot, and you mention the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you don't lower it, and he broke it all the way down. Yeah, he tells us everything. Yes, even how. And then he was like, it's nothing he could say. Because after that detail, if anyone has intellect or logic, he's going to see wisdom in that detail of how to use the bathroom. Because it's not like the time has ended where people don't use the bathroom in public. It still happens. People are in situations where they pull over, they're on road trips or whatever like that. They can't get to a rest stop. Or the bathroom is out of order somewhere. And now a Muslim knows, what do I do if we're on a camping trip or we're on a road, we're driving from one place to another? It's still 5 more miles before the rest stop. Now, pull over on the side of the road. How do I deal with having to use the bathroom outside? This is how we deal with it. So now we're gonna run them all back down.
Adding that to the and to I know وهن
وأنا نحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن وهو وهي وهما وهم وهن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتما هو listen to links, man.
Yeah, man. What? I turned it down, man.
Okay, now we're cooking with gas. We have 12 on the board.
I got it.
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما
وأنتما
وأنتم
وأنتم
وأنتن
وأنتن
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما
وهن
وهن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما
وهن
وهن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتما
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما وهم
وهن
وهن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما وهم
وهن
وهن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
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 don't elongate, don't make it ألف وأنتن
وأنتن
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما وهم
وهن
وهن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما وهم
وهن
وهن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما وهم
وهن
وهن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما وهم
وهن
وهن أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتما okay أنا ونحن أنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن وهو وهي وهما وهم وهن
ما شاء الله ما شاء الله
أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن وهو وهي وهما وهم وهن
أي نعم مسافر
أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت
اوكي
وأنتما
ها
وأنتما
أنتما
أنتما أنتم
يا
وأنتما
أنتن
أنتما أنتم
وأنتما
وأنتما
وأنتم
وأنتم
وأنتن
وأنتن وهو وهي What? Huma,
وهما
wahuma, huma, wahum,
أها
wanunna,
وهن
wahunna.
نعم أنتن
أنا ونحن وأنت وأنت وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن هو وهي هما هم وهن.
بكاير
وأنا وأنتي
لا لا
وأنا أنا وأنت
أها
وأنتم
أنتم
أنتم أنتن يهو
و
وهو
وهو أها
وهو وهي
أها
وهما
أها
وهم
أها
وهن
وهن أها Now, I'm going to say it 3 more times. And then after that, we're going to have an early class today because I think this is a lot for you guys to memorize. Go over it over and over again. And don't forget, we have what? 8 letters that we took with their sounds. So that's going to be our main review tomorrow, inshallah ta'ala. أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتما
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما وهم
وهن
وهن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
أنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما وهم
وهن
وهن
أنا ونحن
أنا ونحن
وأنت وأنت
وأنت وأنت
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وأنتما وأنتم وأنتن
وهو وهي
وهو وهي
وهما وهم
وهما وهم
وهن
وهن.
بارك الله فيكم جزاكم الله خيرا. Our brother,
You don't get tired?
Huh?
Like you get tired going there like that, because you gotta back to another one.
I'm trying to- I don't know if I put it between. This is fine.
Okay.
I mean, do anything-
Oh, look at
I told you I had one down.
You say you gonna put that what?
Air fry. I
You
did-
never for 6 seconds, it takes somebody.
No, yeah, I did. Royal. Yeah, but I knew about,
You got more.
I brought the shit.
MashaAllah. Okay, that's our class for today. I thank everybody for being present. Whoever didn't get it, please refer back to the class. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه. لحظة, I think somebody said something here.
I think around, very, so.
Nah, nah, we created the man and woman. Jazakallah khairah. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Thank you, sisters, for being here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله